So now we're going to be discussing a huge idea in mathematics, but a simple one, and one that will basically carry on as you continue to go through your math studies. The idea between numerical and algebraic expressions. So let's just start with numerical expressions and discuss basically something that you've known for a very long time. What is a numerical expression? A numerical expression is a math phrase that involves any of the main number operations and only numbers. So it could be something like 4 divided by 2. That would be a numerical expression. You could get a little bit more advanced than that. You could do 6 times 4 plus 7. Heck, you could do something even bigger than that. You could do 7 times, and then all in parentheses, 4 minus 3 plus 12 divided by 6. I don't know what those simplify out to, and I don't really care in this example because we're just going over what numerical expressions are. Math phrases with operations. You've been doing those for a long time, and now it's time to start talking about how letters come into play in math, and that's where algebra comes into play, where we have what are called algebraic expressions. Basically, the difference between an algebraic expression and a numerical expression is we start introducing these things called variables into our idea of what math is all about. So let's say that we have an expression like this, 4x. Because there's a letter in there, that letter being x, which we consider a variable, that becomes an algebraic expression. Now, there are other algebraic expressions with other letters. You could have, I don't know, 6 divided by h. So 6 over h plus 7. That would be an algebraic expression just because that h is involved. You could have 6h minus 12. That would be an algebraic expression. Any number of letters will work. So, numerical expression, again, just numbers with operations. Algebraic expression, letter or letters with numbers. It could also just be a letter on its own, but as long as that letter is involved, it's considered an algebraic expression. Now, in the next brief clip, we're going to be discussing what this letter, a variable, is all about and why we call it a variable. And now for an explanation of what the heck a variable is and why we even need letters in mathematics. So a variable comes from the word vary, right? So if you've got the word vary, what that means is to change, right? Or maybe you've heard the expression, the weather today is variable, meaning it is changing. It's not the same throughout. So the reason why we use the word variable to describe a letter in math, a letter like x, the reason why we use variable is because that letter can change its value. It might represent the number 2, or the number 4, or 6/7, or 2.725. It is variable. Why do we need variables? Well, think about your world. Let's say that, I don't know, you work for a certain number of hours on chores at home, or maybe at a job that you're working at with a relative. Then the amount of hours that you work, x, is variable. The way that I think of variables, because we need them to describe things, again, that are changing or unknown in math, I think of it like a label to like a tank or an empty can. So basically, if you draw out, like in my head, this is what's going on. You've got some kind of can, and we put on that can this label, and we call it x. And into that variable, into that changing amount, we can put in different numbers. So I could put in 4.2 or 7 or 8/9, or any number of other types of numbers that x or h or z or t or any letter can take on. Again, we need that variable because let's say that we have a changing amount. So let's say that you work a certain number of hours. So let's say that h equals the number of hours worked. Well, maybe the number of hours worked today is 7. So today, h takes on the value of 7. But then by tomorrow, you've worked a total of 10 hours. So now the variable takes on a value of 10. And then maybe by next week it takes on a value of 22 hours. The variable always stands for the number of hours, but the amount that you're putting into the variable, that you're replacing the variable with, changes. So again, a variable is a letter that we use in mathematics to describe either an unknown amount or some number that is changing. And that's why we call it variable. And we see that we need it because practically everything in this world is changing. A big idea, but one that is very simple.